I am a firm believer that if you want to be a good bike rider, then you need to be a confident bike rider. Riding all sorts of different bikes on all sorts of different terrains is one of the quickest and most effective ways to improve your ability to handle anything that you could encounter when back out on the road. When out on the road on our bikes, we do encounter a wide variety of surface changes. However, when you ride off-road, these are only more frequent and more varied. So we need to become really adept at scanning the path ahead of us, working out what obstacles are coming our way, how much grip there is, and crucially, where that grip is going to be found. This calculation process has to become so fast, fluid, and second nature that you're actually no longer aware that you're making those decisions on the bike. There is only one way to dial in your tyre to eye coordination, and that is practice. Get used to the sensations that are coming from underneath you, what the surface looks like, but more importantly, what that surface actually feels like to ride. And once you've done that, you can log it into your mental catalogue of experience. To get a real understanding of where the limits of adhesion lie, we need to start understanding our timings of the inputs that we're making to the bike and the effects they have on our direction of travel or our acceleration and deceleration. So off-road, with these gravel tyres especially, you definitely have a little bit less traction when it comes to riding on the grass. So when you're braking, it's going to take a lot longer to scrub off the same amount of speed as it would on the road. All that's going to do is help you understand how much traction there is actually available onto your tyres, so that when you meet a similar situation out on the road, you can be like, oh, I've been there before. I know it's going to take me a little bit longer to slow down because it's wet, it's greasy, and that will help you have more control on the descent. One of the more interesting things that you'll learn when riding off-road is just how much traction there is available at all times. We've mentioned how that affects your braking and how it affects cornering, the fact that you're going to be slipping and sliding a little bit more than when out on the road. But one of the most important things is you'll learn how to dose your power onto the terrain that you're riding. Now, this doesn't always apply when out on the road, but if it's wet or it's icy or you're riding somewhere where there's some cobbled climbs, learning when you're going to be able to put the power down to the road beneath you is one of the most important things you can learn to make your energy expenditure more efficient, but also to make you faster on those climbs. It's hard to deny these days when riding on the road that at some point you're going to have to avoid some sort of obstacle, either a drain cover, some road furniture, or maybe something that's just rolled into the road unexpectedly in front of you. The perfect time to practice these avoidance techniques is when riding off-road. For a start, you're not going to be traveling quite as fast, generally speaking, but also you've got much more chance to practice some avoidance technique. So bunny hopping, for example, is one of the most basic skills that you can learn for riding a bike. But if you want to keep your wheels nice and round, is also one of the best skills that you should start to think about learning. How you choose to avoid the obstacle that's coming your way is, of course, down to whatever it is ahead of you. Maybe you can just brake and swerve around it. Maybe there's a different line that you can take. Or maybe you will indeed just have to hop over the top of it. And that's the beauty of riding off-road. It is so varied, and it's again hitting that calculation process in your brain and creating a second nature pathway which will make riding on the road that much safer. When out riding on the road, we often have a lot of grip available. However, when riding off-road, this grip is likely to be quite a lot less, meaning that when your tyres start to slip and slide, you've actually got quite a lot more warning and more chance of rectifying the situation. How does this translate to the road? Well, it's going to help improve your reaction times. On the road, if our tyres let go of grip, they're going to let go very, very quickly. That's because they had a high amount of grip in the first place, and when it's gone, you're down to zero pretty quick. But if your reaction times are improved, the chance of catching that slide is much more increased. So practicing out on a slippery surface like in the grass or wet routes in the woods is only going to increase your reaction times and make you a safer road rider. For me, riding off-road all comes down to confidence and control. I used to set up a little test circuit and try and ride it within 1 or 2 seconds each and every lap to make sure I was nice and consistent. It was only a short circuit, it was around 35 seconds from memory, but hitting it every single time and getting the lines correct became part of my training plan, and it made me feel much more competent when I was riding off-road. By finding yourself a little test circuit like that, you'll learn to stitch all of the off-road skills together to create a much more well-rounded bike rider. And if you've not been convinced so far, you should ride off-road because it's just a lot of fun. Ultimately, all of these skills boil down to one thing, and that's increasing your confidence as a rider, which will enable you to feel much more comfortable out on your bike in a wider variety of situations. If you found this video useful, do give it a thumbs up. And for more dirty off-road type videos, click on the bike.